test check 1 2 3. You've got to protect your peace because nobody else is going to do that for you. So what does protecting your peace look like? Growing up, I would say that I was taught to be extra considerate and empathetic of others and to make sure that other people are happy. That's something that has just carried on throughout my life. I would say most of the time, that's a good thing. It was good to be considerate, good to be empathetic, and good to try to make others happy. The only caveat was that I believe I wasn't taught that there isn't another option too. There are times when you can just remove yourself from scenarios or events or things you don't want to be a part of. And I always thought if I were to do that, I'd be causing an issue, I'd be causing a problem, and thus making others not feel happy. But I was one of those people where if I wanted to say something but I didn't feel confident, so I'd hold those words to myself. And that could be as little as, hey, Wen, do you want to do this? Do you want to come to this? And, there'd be moments where I'm like, not really. But in an effort to appeal and to make others feel happy, and, I would do that. Now, this also is my fault because I didn't take the action necessary to remove myself from those situations. And that is ripple effect to my life today, where that's something that I sometimes struggle with. And I've only came to the realization this a little bit more recently. There's going to be scenarios in life where it feels like you only have one choice or one decision you could make. And more often than not, when I was in situations where I feel like there's not a whole lot of options, after that event, looking back on it, I'm like, wow, okay, maybe there was. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you don't care about others, or you're not considerate, or you're not empathetic. It just means that you prioritize yourself like anybody else would. Everybody else is already doing the same thing. They're already out there doing things for their own self-interest. And so why not you? You're just as important. You're just as valuable. And so your feelings and your comfortability and your peace is also worth just as much as everyone else's. But I do think that it does require a little bit of a balance, right? Because, you can be somebody who says no. You can be somebody who consistently says no or rejects invitations to things or whatnot. But then you can't be surprised that you're not invited to things or that anymore. And so just be wary of that. I'll give you an example. I was invited to a small event, and initially I was pretty excited. But then I started to learn more things about this event, and it kind of started to put me off a little bit. Just some things I didn't necessarily agree with personally. My old self would have just kind of sucked it up and, not deal with confrontation and just attended the event. Simple as that. Knowing that I wouldn't necessarily be comfortable or happy, but I would have made somebody else happy. So, but this time around, having just a little bit of more self-awareness, I thought to myself, what is the cost of going? And the cost of going was me not feeling great, me feeling uncomfortable, me feeling that some of the things were not aligned, and it might have a not so negative or not so positive effect on myself. And then I thought about, okay, well, what am I getting? If this is the cost, then what am I getting? So if you add up all the costs and you look at what you're paying for, it wasn't that great. And so I told myself I would rather not go than spend away my beliefs just so I could be at this event. And so this was tough because, now looking back on it, it was like a no-brainer decision. But in the moment, it was really difficult because, again, growing up, just had that history of ensuring that I'm pleasing others, and so it was very difficult to do it. It felt liberating because there's not a whole lot of things that you can control in this world, but what you can control is how you respond to things, how you react, and how you move forward. And in this scenario, I could have went with the flow of everything that was already in place, but I knew that it just wasn't going to be a good time for me. And in that moment, I protected my peace, and by not going, I had a much better time of not going to that event. I didn't have any fear of missing out because I knew what the cost was, and I just wasn't willing to spend, so to say. It's a liberating feeling. It's not easy. It can be very difficult, especially if these are things that are a little bit more personally attached to other people. It could be really hard to navigate those conversations. What really helps me, and I say this in a lot of my videos, is just long-term thinking. Everything feels so important because everything is happening right now. But what I always tell myself is to think long term, and what is going to be the long term effect of this thing. I bet you could look back on a few moments in your life and think of some of those big milestones, things that you maybe overthought a lot about, or spent all night trying to think about this thing, and look at where you are now. Do you still think day to day about that particular issue? Probably not. I like to think about life like that when I get into moments where I start to get tunnel vision and feel like this is the most important thing right now on this entire planet. But you got to zoom out. Look long term, and realize that while yes, things are very important right now, maybe long term, it's not as important as protecting my peace. But I think you're never going to regret protecting your own peace. I think you might have more regrets of, dang, I should have stayed at home, or dang, I did not want to be a part of this. But again, I say this all to not discourage you from trying new things, because that's not the same thing. I say this to remind you to prioritize yourself. You are just as valuable as anybody else. Just remember that you have that option, you have choices. And with that, I hope that this can be a good reminder to protect your peace. So thank you again so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments below. And guys, we are at 3K subscribers. Thank you so much. I started posting consistently about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months now, and we've been making some really good progress. So thank you so much. Again, we're gonna have a 100K plaque at some point. It's gonna be on this wall, and you're gonna witness it live. So thank you so much. If you like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.